The 2025 NBA trade deadline took everyone by surprise, transforming from a routine event into a dizzying array of team-altering moves. Squads that once seemed firmly settled flipped their rosters at the last minute, while certain star players wound up in locations they initially insisted they'd never consider. Although the frenzy ended a month ago, the repercussions continue to reverberate throughout the league. Some organizations have skyrocketed toward contention, while others appear stuck in limbo, weighed down by injuries and regrets. From marquee names switching jerseys to franchises second-guessing their choices, this deadline's ripple effect has kept fans on the edge of their seats. Among the most jaw-dropping developments, Jimmy Butler's shift to Golden State remains a focal point. For years, he was rumored to be keen on joining Phoenix, and it sounded like that was a singular preference. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Golden State emerged as the team willing to meet his contract terms and provide a credible shot at a championship. Butler's grit has invigorated a roster led by Steph Curry, adding physical defense and an extra layer of playmaking. While some critics find his limited three-point volume worrisome, especially in high-pressure moments, the immediate turnaround in the Warriors' morale is undeniable. He has formed a dynamic partnership with Curry and given Draymond Green space to focus on defense rather than constantly orchestrating the offense. On the other end of that transaction, Andrew Wiggins wound up in Miami, a franchise desperate to recapture its former prowess. Initially, many commentators applauded the Heat for taking a risk on a player whose potential often surfaces in flashes, but struggles to appear consistently. Wiggins has delivered a few promising outings, showcasing defensive energy and improved shooting. Unfortunately, rumors swirl about possible growing pains behind the scenes, with some insiders mentioning he isn't adapting smoothly to Miami's famously demanding style. The organization still envisions him as a cornerstone for the future, hopeful that he'll flourish once they refine their system. Still, letting go of Butler has left them scrambling to regain their competitive footing. A different kind of curveball came when De'Aaron Fox, widely viewed as the future of Sacramento, requested a move. The Spurs jumped at the chance, anticipating a lethal pairing with Victor Wembanyama that would vault them straight into the playoff picture. Expectations ran sky-high, yet results have been underwhelming. Fox's production dropped off quickly, partly due to a nagging injury that has affected his shot. Worse still, Wembanyama's health complications sidelined him, leaving Fox to navigate an unfamiliar system by himself. The initial enthusiasm in San Antonio waned fast, revealing how difficult it can be to meld a new star into a team mid-season. Some observers wonder if Fox might come to regret his insistence on heading to a squad still figuring out how to maximize its intriguing but unpolished roster. That same trade sent Zach LaVine to Sacramento, which flew under the radar at first, but has emerged as a relatively bright spot. With Fox out the door, the Kings needed an immediate spark, and LaVine has delivered solid scoring and energetic play. He seems liberated by the move, no longer facing the intense pressure that overshadowed him in Chicago. Although his scoring metrics dipped slightly, his efficiency and willingness to defend have impressed fans and coaches alike. It's early, but the Kings look capable of securing at least a spot in the play-in, buoyed by LaVine's polished defensive game. For a team that needed new life, his arrival might be the catalyst for a more promising next chapter. No conversation about this deadline can skip the colossal swap between Dallas and the Lakers, involving Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. The moment news broke, commentators gushed about pairing Davis with Luka Doncic, conjuring visions of unstoppable pick-and-roll threats. Meanwhile, Irving stood poised to join forces with LeBron James in Los Angeles, lighting up scoreboards nightly. Instead, the dream scenario disintegrated almost instantly. Kyrie tore a ligament in his knee, sidelining him for the remainder of the season, while Davis stepped onto the court for the Mavericks only to aggravate an injury in his very first game. Overnight, Dallas's grand ambitions morphed into despair, leading fans to question whether the team might tear it all down yet again. For the Lakers, the immediate returns felt more favorable. Even with Irving's catastrophic injury, they found enough equilibrium to enhance their postseason outlook. Despite Kyrie's controversial past and recurring physical setbacks, his brief presence injected the roster with the jolt of creativity. Los Angeles appears more balanced now than it has in a while, buoyed by a stronger supporting cast around LeBron. Meanwhile, Dallas faces harsh scrutiny from every direction. Speculation abounds that they might peddle Davis this offseason, especially if Kyrie remains sidelined well into the following year. The organization's lack of draft capital has only amplified fans' impatience, and the front office must soon chart a new course or risk plunging back into mediocrity. Another trade that surprised many was Kyle Kuzma's relocation to Milwaukee, facilitated by a three-team arrangement that also involved Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart heading to Washington. The Bucks suffered a shaky stretch before meshing well with Kuzma, who has become a serviceable third option behind Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. With Middleton often missing games, a durable scorer like Kuzma proves valuable. He won't overshadow the team's top stars, but he offers enough offense, rebounding, and occasional defensive effort to keep Milwaukee stable. Though the Bucks still appear inconsistent at times, their long-term prospects look more promising now that they have a dependable role player who can alleviate the pressure on Giannis. As for Middleton and Smart in Washington, there hasn't been much fanfare, largely because observers are fixated on Kuzma's impact in Milwaukee. Still, the Wizards hope those veterans can steer their young core in the right direction. When the dust settles, it could become a win-win scenario. But for now, the spotlight remains on whether the Bucks can sustain their new dynamic and seriously challenge for the Eastern Conference throne. If Kuzma's outside shot holds steady, Milwaukee might develop into a more imposing postseason threat than previously expected. Another eye-catching midseason move involved Cleveland, a team dominating the standings, yet risking disruption by trading away Caris LeVert for DeAndre Hunter. Initially, this sounded like a peculiar gamble for a franchise already boasting one of the best records in basketball. Hunter, however, delivered exactly what the Cavaliers hoped: greater defensive flexibility and sufficient offense to keep second-unit lineups afloat. His versatility allows Cleveland to test unconventional lineups late in games, pairing him with the likes of Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley without sacrificing spacing. Health remains the biggest concern. Hunter's injury history casts a shadow over any enthusiasm, but the organization, along with a passionate fan base, is cautiously optimistic they've found a crucial complementary piece. If Hunter stays available, his presence could vault the Cavs into serious title contention, a remarkable leap for a club once considered a step below the more established powers in the East. Finally, there's Brandon Ingram's puzzling transition to Toronto. Conventional wisdom suggested the Raptors had too many hefty salaries on the roster already, yet they acquired Ingram and soon handed him an extension. He is yet to debut due to lingering health issues, fueling skepticism about whether Toronto's front office overextended itself financially. Rumblings imply they plan to offload Jakob Poeltl to open up additional salary space, but it may not be enough to resolve their logjam of contracts. Those defending the move believe Ingram's scoring arsenal will eventually mesh well with Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley, forming a fearsome offensive core. The skeptics, however, foresee complications on both ends of the floor, cautioning that the team might struggle to defend bigger lineups and end up stuck in the middle of the conference standings. Until Ingram plays actual games for the Raptors, nobody can say for certain if he's the missing link or a future trade chip in another dramatic reshuffle. When reflecting on all these deals a month later, one truth emerges: every organization took on significant risk. From unloading fan favorites to gambling on high upside but injury-prone stars, the league's general managers acted with a sense of urgency rarely witnessed. The concept of a title window seems to have spurred them into action, with the belief that fortunes can shift abruptly from one year to the next. Some teams, such as the Warriors, look revitalized, while Dallas remains in a state of shock following a cascade of misfortunes. The storyline is far from concluded, though, as postseason outcomes will determine which executives become hailed as visionaries and which find themselves back at the drawing board. An entire season still looms, and these trades will continue to shape the NBA's power structure well beyond the final buzzer. In the weeks ahead, storylines will build around whether the Mavericks can salvage their once lofty ambitions, if the Raptors can justify their high-stakes wage bill, and whether the Cavaliers have found the missing ingredient in Hunter. Fan theories and insider speculation are already pointing toward further chaos in the offseason, hinting that the 2025 trade deadline was just a taste of what's to come. One thing seems certain. This year proved that front offices are willing to roll the dice, and the league looks poised to keep surprising its followers with dramatic twists, unexpected alliances, and the kind of moves that spark endless debate.